Hey, thanks for spending some time with me again today. We're going to start section 2 in the Schlossberg book, and this is entitled Intervals. And it's very interesting and it's very challenging, and I need to practice this stuff. Now, I have pretty good flexibility and so forth, but in one way, I'm trying to get a higher level of flexibility. And don't get me wrong, I'm pretty good at it, but when I play these exercises, I start to recognize, wow, I got a lot of work to do in order to get more comfortable, in order to have the skill be more natural. And what skill am I talking about? Well, the intervals, he starts out with the interval of a fourth and then displaces it by an octave. And the challenge in number 38, which is the first one in this section on intervals, is that he asks you to change the dynamics. And this should be one of your variations anyway. So I'm going to play it without changing the dynamics. Now that's a good exercise all by itself, but when you start raising the bar by playing contrasting dynamics, then it gets really interesting. And this is where I need to practice. So I'm going to take some time here, and hopefully we can learn some things together which are going to be helpful going forward in playing this exercise. Okay, now I'm trying to play in tune, and I'm hearing where the note should be. And if you have a really good sense of pitch, you can hear where the note should be before you play it. Because at least what I do is I'm not playing, I don't have perfect pitch, but I can recognize the pitch relationships pretty well. So I have what you might call good relative pitch. And that's what's important for practical purposes as a musician. So when I hear that relationship, it's a fourth, it's a perfect fourth, it's a perfect place for that note to go. Now, see, I'm raising the bar again. So now I'm trying to deal with a change in dynamics that's extreme, and I'm trying to deal with pitch. Remember, basic principle, don't try and do everything at once. If you have a skill level where you can manage all those things, yeah, then you can challenge yourself. Go for it. But remember, you have to keep your percentages high enough so that it's fun. And yet keep the situation challenging enough so that you stay engaged with the process. And then you're going to be making progress continuously, no matter what level you're practicing at. I'm encouraging you to have fun. That's why I decided to be a trumpet player, because I thought it would be more fun than being a chemist, which I was also very interested in, and still kind of am, as a matter of fact. So yeah, play it because it's fun. Enjoy the process. When I make that change, I can hear where the note should be, and when it's not there, when I go to play the note, if it's a little bit off, then I let it self-correct. And we'll get into this in much more detail. I'm going to have to spend some time talking about playing in tune, because this is a big problem for a lot of players. It's a very challenging thing to do, and we'll run into it doing these interval exercises, which is why I'm starting to discuss it right now. Okay, for now, let's keep it simple and just work on the dynamic change. Now, it's more natural to go so it's more natural da-dum to let the voice open up when we're playing higher. And here he's suggesting, well, no, do it the opposite way. So that's a bit of a challenge. Here's what I'm going to recommend to you when you're practicing this. Make sure that you're ready to make the change. In other words, you can hear the target, like the pitch that we were talking about. You can hear the target in terms of the quality of the sound. You know where that sound rings the best, you can hear that. Your ear can imagine it before you make the change, and that's your target. So then the next step is give yourself a chance to find your balance before you go to the next target, before you move to the next note. I describe this, it's a little bit like when I was a kid, I loved to explore the woods. And you'd come to a stream and there'd be rocks, you know, and you think, okay, I gotta get across the stream. And you could do it a couple of different ways. You could just kind of, you know, run and try and jump and kind of touch each one of those rocks lightly. That's an interesting thing that you can think about how that applies to your trumpet playing. Think about it. But what I'm referring to now is that you step onto the first rock, and of course what you want to do is make sure that it's stable. And sometimes that rock will tip, and then you could fall into the stream. So if that rock is stable, then you put your full weight on it. And when your full weight is on that rock and it's not moving, now you're ready to touch the next rock. And when you feel that's stable, then you can put your weight on it. Now you can't always be sure. And we want that kind of security when we're playing. But in a similar way, you have to, when you're stepping from one rock to another, you're not positive when you step onto that next rock that it's going to be completely stable. You'll only feel it when you commit. So there has to be a point where you actually commit to going to the next note. What I want to suggest to you is listen like crazy to what happens. That's going to give you a lot of information. What happens to the sound? What happens to the pitch? What happens to the feel of what you're doing? And also imagine what it is that you want. Be very, very adamant, very willful in terms of that this is the sound that you intend, this is the pitch that you intend. You can be quite aggressive with that. And then, again, listen for the result. Allow yourself to stabilize. So I'm going to play the second line, which is the same exercise, only in reverse now. And now the intervals are farther apart. The first line, you're going up. Each note is going up. Now we're changing direction. Boy, I need to practice that. That feels touchy to me. And I can do it. You know, I have pretty good control. But when you really examine it, you know, it's kind of like watching Cirque du Soleil. Okay, great. You're a tightrope walker. You can walk out on that rope and not be afraid of falling off. Yeah, but can you ride a unicycle standing on your head on the tightrope? You see, we're human, so we keep on kind of pushing the limits of what we can do. And yes, people can learn how to do the most incredible things. I want you to be encouraged by that, but you have to take it step by step. Now, the people who grow up in the circus are learning this craft and this art and this athletic skill from their youth. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's the same way for us. So we have to have the patience and enjoy the process. If you like doing it, if you like practicing, you probably should be a player. And you may already know that. Now, I'm going to move a little quicker this time. So those dynamic changes. Oh, see, now I choked. Wow. I want to keep that sound good. It's a real balancing exercise in every way. Remember, if you have trouble doing this, you're struggling, you find your body tightening up, you're getting upset, you know, mentally, emotionally, you're using more mouthpiece pressure. All these things are just indicators that you're trying too hard. So come back and bring it to a level where it's fun. And that's my best recommendation. Now he starts moving around a little bit. And we'll get into these exercises. It's going to be the same through this whole first section of the intervals. But he increases the speed. So, and how quickly you're changing octaves. Not paying attention. Point out when I'm doing that, those are articulated. Your tongue can help you to secure the notes, but I want to play with the breath control. What I'm looking for is to have a continuous connected sound between the notes. The bigger the intervals get, the harder it is to do that. And that's completely understandable. So again, incremental practice. If you're like me, you like to push the edges and see what's possible. I lifted weights for a large portion of my life and pretty much tore my body to shreds. 2 severely torn rotator cuffs and torn labrum and all kinds of injuries over the years. Why? Because I tend to push too hard. And I do the same thing on the trumpet. So learning these skills is a matter of finding the balance, developing strength, but within the context of beautiful, balanced form. Don't force. Now, you've heard me say that, you've heard other teachers say that, and you know that you shouldn't do that. So the key is recognize when you're starting to try too hard, and back away, walk around, do some squats, go get a drink of water, as I've said before. Mainly change your mind. So you just kind of go, and then you come back to it. Let's see how I can do. Well, I guess I choked up. So now I need to go back and play some lower notes again. Okay, and I should be very grateful that I have control within that range. When I start pushing and extending the range, I want to keep the control. Because if I don't have a control, then I can't play the music consistently, and then I'm not really much good to anybody. Okay, so think of this as a professional, even if you're not. This is an endeavor that requires a commitment, and getting better is fun, right? If you're getting better, you understand what I'm talking about. So go and enjoy your practice, and I'll see you whenever you're ready for the next session. Have a great day. Bye-bye.